Congratulations again on your nomination to this important position, and thank you for your willingness to serve our country. I'll tell you what I'm looking for in a Treasury Secretary. I'm looking for someone who has a clear record of professional accomplishment, a distinguished academic record would be a bonus. You have those things. I'm looking for someone who is thoughtful. What I care less about is the performative dimension of the job. I have to tell you, so there's a lot of chatter in Washington about that, but I do appreciate your thoughtful answers here this morning. So I'm going to dive in and begin by asking you about a dimension of your role as Treasury Secretary. You will inherit the role of chair on the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, also known as CFIUS, that reviews foreign investments in American industries. And very recently, President Biden blocked Nippon Steel's acquisition of U.S. steel on national security grounds. Yet he and the administration provided no clear, substantiated evidence, publicly at least, to justify this decision. For my home state, this abrupt action has instilled a lot of anxiety, particularly in the Gary, Indiana area, where there's nearly $1 billion in investments that were promised. If the Nippon U.S. Steel deal were to reappear before CFIUS, sir, do you commit today to an impartial review, particularly when political pressure was initially permitted to overshadow an honest assessment of national security vulnerabilities?
Senator Young, thank you for the question, and I understand the imperative for jobs for your constituents in Indiana. President Trump most recently has also spoken out against the deal, but if the deal is...
The statute indicates that you are charged with providing impartial reviews. That's all I'm asking. Would you be following that law or not, sir?
Impartial reviews, sure. So it is currently in litigation. The review is closed, but if it reappears, that CFIUS will conduct the same review that it always does. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you. We may have an opportunity to work together on that effort. Mr. Bessent, your nomination comes at a time when tariffs are central to our economic debates, particularly on issues like inflation, supply chain resilience, and job creation. Now, I believe that in moderation, tariffs, for a time, strengthen America's negotiating leverage with other nations, and they can strengthen certain national security relevant industries. But overuse of tariffs can inflate costs and provoke trade retaliation. As Hoosier farmers have experienced firsthand over the years, they often bear the impact of these retaliatory measures, leaving already thin margins much more vulnerable. What concrete steps would you take to shield these Indiana producers if major trading partners impose steep duties, and how do you envision the Treasury Department's role in supporting them?
Thank you, Senator Young. As I mentioned before, and I may have mentioned it when I was in your office, our family is involved in the farming business, in soybeans and corn, so I'm very sensitive to this and very up to date. The American farmers have been very loyal. 90% of rural voters voted for President Trump, so they should know that their interests are his interests. And when you ask what I would do specifically, I have said recently, the Biden administration kept on all of the Trump tariffs, but what they did not do in the agreement with China was enforce the purchase provisions. So if confirmed, next week, if confirmed, I would begin pushing for the purchase guarantees that were in the China agreement to be enforced, and perhaps they push the Chinese for a catch-up provision over the past 4 years.
Just a quick follow-up. In terms of the application of tariffs, a skilled negotiator might sometimes use broad tariffs to gain leverage, and then in other cases, a more sector-specific approach could be effective. So what criteria or perhaps benchmarks would you use to inform your decision to go with across-the-board measures or more surgical tariffs? And do you believe there should be any built-in caps or triggers to prevent an unintended escalation?
Senator Young, I haven't been confirmed yet. President Trump isn't in office, but I would imagine that you, the American people, should think about tariffs in 3 ways under the Trump administration. One will be for remedying unfair trade practices, either by industry or country, the Chinese tariffs, the steel. 2, maybe for a more generalized tariff as a revenue raiser for the federal budget. And 3, President Trump, I think, has added a 3rd use of tariffs, as you said, as a skilled negotiator he believes that we've probably gotten over our skis a bit on sanctions, and that sanctions may be driving countries out of the use of the U.S. dollar. So the tariffs can be used for negotiations, whether it's for Mexico on the fentanyl crisis. I think you and the American people should think about those 3 broad categories.
Thank you. We need to move on. And next is Senator Sanders. Senator Sanders, I don't believe you were here when I welcomed everyone to the committee this morning, but as a new member of the committee, I personally welcome you and look forward to working with you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. Mr. Besson, thanks very much for being in the office the other day.